For over 40 years, a radio signal has been transmitting from Moscow. Every second of every day, this electronic pulse reaches across the vast Russian wilderness to a facility hidden deep beneath the Ural Mountains. Now, 850 miles east of the Kremlin, satellite images reveal something that shouldn't exist. A massive construction project is producing enormous piles of mining spoil scattered across a mountainside. New underground entrances have been carved into solid granite. The facility's front gate is even visible on Google Earth, photographed by someone brave enough to get close. What lies beneath Kosvinsky Mountain remains one of the most dangerous secrets on Earth. 3 soldiers wait in the darkness, armed with a power that could end civilization itself. As long as that radio signal continues, the world remains safe. But if it ever stops... The Doomsday Concept. In 1954, nuclear physicist Leo Szilard proposed the most terrifying weapon ever conceived, a massive thermonuclear device surrounded by hundreds of tons of cobalt that, when detonated, would render the entire planet uninhabitable for nearly a century. This was the birth of what would become known as the Doomsday Machine, a weapon designed not just to destroy an enemy, but to end human civilization itself. Szilard's cobalt bomb represented the ultimate expression of nuclear deterrence theory. But his theoretical weapon had a fatal flaw. It required human activation, making it vulnerable to hesitation or failure of nerve. RAND strategist Herman Kahn took the concept further, envisioning a computer-controlled system that would automatically detonate upon detecting an incoming nuclear attack. The ultimate deterrent would operate independently of human intervention and despite any attempts to stop it. This was the purest expression of Cold War logic, a weapon so terrible that its very existence would prevent its use. Hollywood immortalized the concept in Stanley Kubrick's 1964 masterpiece Dr. Strangelove, where a Soviet doomsday machine triggers automatically when a rogue American bomber attacks Russia. In the film's climactic scene, Dr. Strangelove himself identifies the system's crucial weakness, saying, quote, "The whole point of the doomsday machine is lost if you keep it a secret. Why didn't you tell the world?" For years, these remained theoretical nightmares, products of strategic thinking and science fiction rather than engineering reality. Nuclear planners on both sides considered such systems too dangerous to actually construct. The risk of accidental activation, technical malfunction, or cascading failures made automated doomsday devices seem like instruments of self-destruction rather than deterrence. By the late 1970s, the Soviet Union faced an existential problem. American Trident submarines could approach undetected and launch nuclear missiles capable of reaching Moscow in just 13 minutes, barely enough time for Soviet leadership to comprehend the attack, let alone authorize retaliation. A successful decapitation strike could eliminate the entire command structure before a single Russian missile left its silo. Dead hand. Faced with this nightmare scenario, Soviet engineers began developing something the world thought impossible, a real, operational doomsday machine. The classified project, designated Sistema Perimeter and known in the West as Dead Hand, began development in 1974 under the direction of engineer Valery Yarnich, who would later reveal the system's terrifying logic to the outside world. Unlike the theoretical doomsday machines of American strategists, Perimeter would be real, operational, and designed to ensure that even total nuclear annihilation of the USSR's leadership could not prevent devastating retaliation. And just as Dr. Strangelove had warned, the Soviets were keeping it secret. The system operated on 4 critical if-then propositions. First, if activated during a crisis, it would monitor a network of seismic, radiation, and pressure sensors across Soviet territory. Second, if these sensors detected nuclear explosions on Russian soil, the system would attempt to contact the general staff in Moscow. Third, if communication links remained intact, Perimeter would assume human leadership survived and shut down after a predetermined waiting period. But fourth, if the line to Moscow were unresponsive, the system would conclude that doomsday had arrived. At that moment, launch authority would transfer to whoever was manning the system deep inside a protected bunker, bypassing every layer of normal command structure. These operators would have minutes to decide whether to launch a 15P-11 command missile, a specially modified rocket carrying a 15B-99 warhead designed to transmit launch orders to every nuclear weapon in the Soviet arsenal. Flying high above missile fields and naval bases, This single rocket could trigger the launch of thousands of warheads without any further human intervention. By January 1985, at the height of Reagan-era tensions, Perimeter became fully operational. The Soviet Union had created the world's first semi-automatic doomsday device. Kosvinsky Mountain. For years, Perimeter operated in absolute secrecy as the Cold War wound toward its unexpected conclusion. The Berlin Wall fell, the Soviet Union collapsed, and nuclear tensions that had defined a generation seemed to fade into history. Yet, even as the superpowers dismantled thousands of warheads and signed arms reduction treaties, Russia's doomsday machine continued its silent vigil. The existence of Perimeter remained one of the Cold War's most closely guarded secrets until 1993, when former Soviet officials finally acknowledged its reality to American defense contractors. But even then, a crucial question remained unanswered. Where was the system's command center located? The answer lay hidden beneath a remote peak in the northern Urals, 850 miles east of Moscow. Kosvinsky Mountain, known locally as Kosvinsky Common or Kosvinsky Stone, rises 4,984 feet above the surrounding wilderness, its summit bare and windswept, fed by small lakes of melting snow. The Kosva River flows from its slopes, giving the mountain its name. To casual observers, it appeared unremarkable among the countless peaks of the Ural Range. But beneath that desolate exterior, Soviet engineers had carved out something extraordinary. Construction of the underground complex began in the late 1970s as American submarine-launched missiles grew more accurate and lethal. Massive boring machines excavated funnels and chambers throughout 1,000 feet of solid granite, protection far exceeding even America's legendary Cheyenne Mountain facility. The excavation generated enormous quantities of rock and debris, creating telltale piles of mining spoil that would eventually betray the facility's existence to satellite surveillance. By 1996, the complex was operational as Russia's alternate strategic command center. Unlike older Soviet bunkers near Moscow, Kosvinsky was specifically designed to resist American earth-penetrating warheads, the very bunker-buster weapons that U.S. military planners were developing to target hardened facilities. What made the site truly exceptional was its communication capability. Very low-frequency radio transmitters that could burn through the electromagnetic chaos of nuclear warfare, maintaining contact with Russian strategic forces, even amid atomic devastation. Former U.S. missile launch officer Bruce Blair, who first revealed the facility's existence to the West, described Kosvinsky as, quote, a crown jewel of the Russian wartime nuclear command system. This was the critical link in Russia's doomsday communications network, the facility from which those three soldiers could potentially launch the nation's entire nuclear arsenal. Satellite imagery from 2003 to 2014 revealed ongoing construction at the site, including new underground entrances and expanded surface facilities. These improvements coincided with reported upgrades to the perimeter system in 2009, suggesting that Russia's doomsday capability was not only preserved but enhanced in the post-Cold War era. The signal that keeps the world safe. More than 3 decades after the Cold War's end, Russia's doomsday machine remains operational. In 2011, Colonel General Sergei Karakayev, commander of the Russian Strategic Missile Forces, confirmed in an interview that the perimeter system was still active and functional. That radio signal from Moscow continues its relentless broadcast, carrying with it the stability of the modern world. But this Cold War relic now faces threats its designers never anticipated. The system was built to detect and respond to massive nuclear exchanges between superpowers, clear signals of deliberate first strikes that would justify automatic retaliation. Today's nuclear landscape is far more complex and dangerous. Terrorist organizations seek nuclear materials. Rogue states develop primitive weapons. Cyber attacks could potentially disrupt communication systems or trigger false alarms. The most chilling scenario involves a nuclear detonation on Russian soil that the United States didn't launch. If Chechen separatists, international terrorists, or even an accidental weapons malfunction created the seismic and radiation signatures that Perimeter monitors, the system might conclude that America had launched a decapitation strike. Within minutes, those 3 soldiers deep beneath Kosvinsky Mountain could find themselves holding launch authorization for thousands of nuclear warheads, facing a decision that would determine whether hundreds of millions of people live or die. Russian officials have never clarified whether the system can be safely deactivated during peacetime, or if it requires constant vigilance to prevent accidental activation. Unlike the fictional doomsday machine in Dr. Strangelove, which was built in secret, Russia has allowed glimpses of its system's existence, but only enough to maintain its deterrent value while preserving operational security. In 2018, former Strategic Missile Forces Chief Viktor Yezin warned the perimeter might become ineffective as the United States withdrew from Cold War-era arms control treaties. Yet no Russian official has announced the system's decommissioning. The facility beneath Kosvinsky Mountain continues its expansion. The radio signal from Moscow continues its broadcast, and somewhere in the darkness of that granite bunker, the Doomsday Watch continues. As global tensions rise and new nuclear threats emerge, the world's survival may still depend on a handful of soldiers in a mountain, armed with the power to end everything, and the wisdom to choose restraint when that moment of ultimate decision arrives.